There's one brand that's always been synonymous with incredible off-road performance, and that's Jeep. From the incredibly capable Wrangler to the Renegade that was introduced a few years ago. Side note to that one, did you know Renegades by Ex-Ambassadors was actually contracted by Jeep? They made that song for the Renegade, which is amazing. But the Jeep lineup is incredibly capable. We've got the Renegade, we've got the Cherokee, and then we've got this bad boy, the Grand Cherokee, which is available in either the regular size or the L, so the extended length that was introduced for the 2021 model year. Steve here, and before we unpack this bad boy, I want to give Pickering Chrysler a huge shout out and a thank you for giving me access to this thing for the day to shoot the video for you guys. Check down below for their contact details, and you can also find the build link and links off to a number of other technical videos that I've put together on this vehicle. But diving in and unpacking it, so this one is the Summit Reserve, and it's pretty much got every available option that this thing can have. It's got the optional heads-up display. It's got some of the added Protech packages. This thing is an absolute beast of a vehicle, and it's also very capable all at the same time. Now, if we look at the 21 versus the 22, there were a few small changes that were made. Big ones on the Grand Cherokee lineup because it's brand new for the 2022 model year, so the interior is completely different, and I kind of love what Jeep's done with it. But one of the amazing things is that last year we only had the option for the 3.6 liter Pentastar in the 5.7 Hemi, but we also do now have the option for the 2 liter turbocharged, which we'll get to when we get underneath the hood. This one's not the 4xe, but that is available as an option. But the base styling inside of this thing is amazing. We've got the velvet red exterior here, which just contrasts so nicely with all of these smaller highlights all throughout the front end of the vehicle. We've got our LED headlamps, great looking badge there, lower part with our active grille shutters on top of that. I love the base styling inside of this vehicle. Now, a few things, because of the added tech packages this one has, we do have our forward sensing system. We've got our front facing camera, our side view mounted cameras, as well as our backup camera. So this thing has a fully surround 360 camera, which is amazing. Really useful if you're going off-road because we also have a rear-mounted camera, which I'll get to when we get to the back end of the vehicle. But great looking highlights. So we've got this nice metallic on the front end of the lower part, or the upper part of the front end, I should say. And then that matches as we get down to the bumper. So we've kind of got these like metallic highlights all throughout, underneath our headlamps, our fogs, and then just down below the lower part of the bumper. But the very bottom of the bumper, we've got that red paint. Well, obviously it's going to depend on the color of your car, but it matches nicely and it contrasts nicely. Like these black and different types of highlights make this thing pop out that little bit more. Now, taking a peek at the wheels of the vehicle. The Grand Cherokee has a ton of different options available for not only the rubber, but for the rim, just depending on which version of the vehicle you're in. Like we look at the base 17-inch Laredo, and that's gonna have a 17-inch tire, versus this bad boy, which is Continental 21-inch rubber instead, and we've got this nice looking split spoke wheel. I kind of love the look of this thing. All sorts of different options that are available. My favorite, I always say this one when we've got it available as an option, there's a blacked out rim that's available inside of this thing. Certain packages, obviously, in order to get that. Now, because we're in the Summit Reserve and it's available in some of the other versions of the Jeep, we are looking at the Advanced Track 2 system, and this thing also has the air suspension system, so it can raise and lower up as necessary. One of the amazing things is that this actually is still fairly off-road capable. With that air suspension, we're maxing out at about 24-inch water fording ground clearance. So nice to know if you need to take this thing through a little bit of deeper water, you could technically do that, which is unbelievable. That similar highlight that we saw on the front end of the bumper there, those kind of metallic highlights, follow through the bottom part of the door. We've got a Grand Cherokee badge along the driver passenger door. And then, as I mentioned with the side view mirrors, we've got a side view mounted camera there as well, which gives us that full 360 view, which is amazing. Getting underneath the hood of the Grand Cherokee is also very straightforward. So, just by our pedals, we've got our little release. And if we look, so just underneath our Jeep badge, so right above where our front camera is, obviously if yours doesn't have it, just underneath that Jeep badge, we just lift up. We've got a little release, we slide it to the left. On hydraulics, which is amazing. Now, there are a series of different options for the engines that are available for the Grand Cherokee. The base engine that you're going to find inside of this vehicle is going to be the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6. We've got the 5.7 liter V8 engine on top of that. So few different options, but one thing that was introduced for the 2022 model year, and that was actually brought over from the Wrangler, is the 4xe system. And that essentially means that we've got a plug-in hybrid version of this vehicle. Now, that engine is going to be a 2-liter. It's an i4 turbocharged engine. But I mean, it's like the complete polar opposite of this 5.7-liter engine. But power-wise, this 5.7-liter engine is going to be able to push out 357 horsepower and 390 pound-feet of torque. But that 2-liter turbo is going to smash this thing looking at combined horsepower and torque. Like, it's kind of amazing looking at where Jeep's taking this lineup. Like, we're plug-in hybrids now. I can only imagine what they're going to be able to do when we get to fully electric. Like, this is going to be amazing. But underneath the hood, pretty straightforward. Everything that we really need to worry about doing ourselves, just off to the left-hand side. So we can easily top up fluids as necessary. We can easily check our oil if we want to as well. But one thing I always just recommend doing, make sure that you take this thing in for regular maintenance, especially if you're going to be taking it off-road. Like, you should be taking it in for maintenance anyways, but off-road, you just want to make sure that it's getting tuned up properly and things like that. And if you don't, you could potentially void your warranty. But overall styling is great. We've got our small little engine cover with our Jeep 5.7 badge there. Fire shield up above as well. All right, taking a peek along our driver's side door. So we do also have our intelligent access there, so we can lock the door on the inside if we want to. So as long as we've got our fob on us, we just push this little hamburger button to lock the door. We just slide our hand in the back there in order to be able to unlock very simply. And then hopping inside, take a look at this. Amazing, amazing. We'll get to the inside in a second. But starting off with the driver's side door, we do have this amazing wood grain that follows through all the part of the door, and then even as we get inside throughout the dash, etc., it looks amazing. But we do have a series of different options available. So we do have a few different buttons there. We can control what's going on with our seat memory. So a series of different seat memory and steering wheel memory as well. We've got a nice metallic highlight following through. And down from there, we've got this like nice weave texture. So weave stitching there. Really great look. We can control what's going on with our side view mirrors. We can control our windows up and down, our base unlock and lock. We've also got a little handle, or a little storage area there. And then along the door, we also do have a little storage area down there. Now this one, you might just be able to make it out, but we've got our Macintosh, I guess I should say, speaker system. So it is going to be optional inside of the vehicle. But look at these controls for the driver's seat. So many different options. We can adjust what's going on with our leg rest there very simply. Like, look at that. So we can adjust the cushion. We can bring the seat forwards, backwards, up and down using this one. We can adjust our backrest there. And then we've also got 4-way lumbar support on top of that. But hopping inside, just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel, series of different options. We can figure out what's going on with our running lamps. I honestly always recommend just keeping it in the auto mode. We've also got our fog lamps. We can adjust what's going on, the brightness of the different screens there. We've got our parking brake, so electronic parking brake. We just pull to turn it on. We have to hit the brake and we push in order to turn it off. And then we've also got our hood release. So if we ever need to get under the hood, all we're going to do is just give this a pull in order to get underneath. Well, this vehicle is amazing. Like, first impressions of this thing, like, damn. Like, Jeep, wow, amazing. This is so cool. Like, there is so much going on here. It's like, where do you even start? All right, so let's kind of start. I kind of mentioned that we've got the wood grain that follows through all of the dash. It's even on the lower part of the steering wheel. That is really cool. And like those metallic highlights. So we saw it in the front end of the vehicle, that like metallic and then that black highlight. It follows through inside. We've got the metallic highlight throughout the steering wheel. We've got that kind of glossy part along the bottom of the wheel. Carries through pretty much the entire part of the dash. There's a nice strip there into the whole center stack of the vehicle. This looks really, really cool. I love it. Now, one thing, because this is the Summit Reserve, we also do have our Macintosh speakers. So you can see them right along the very top. Well, I guess it's technically not Macintosh, it's Macintosh. Is that how we're saying that right now? So the only reason I'm like Macintosh, I'm just thinking of like Apple before they were Apple, I guess. Like I remember the old Macs, but here nor there. But we do, we've got our Macintosh speakers all over the place up at the top there. And then this one also has the added package for the head-up display. It's amazing. Amazing. I love it. I love the overall features, styling inside of this thing. Typical Jeep styling. We do have our paddle shifters inside of this thing. So our minus on the left, plus on the right-hand side, and a series of amazing features. But this is going to be a quick look at the steering wheel cluster as well as the media screen. If you're looking for a fuller in-depth walk around, you want to know how all of this stuff works, check down in the description below because I've put together some crazy comprehensive videos explaining how everything works. But let's go through some of the basics. We do have a pad on the left-hand side, and that's going to let us navigate through our cluster screen with a series of amazing looks as we kind of press some of the other buttons. We can answer or hang up on a phone call. We've got a voice assistant and a number of other things. Along the pad on the right-hand side, we've got the option for the adaptive cruise control system, which this one has, and I love it. I love the adaptive cruise. It's your set it and forget it cruise control. Very useful if you've got a little bit of a heavy foot. So we've got a distance indicator, so how close or far do we want to be away from the vehicle in front of us, and our base setup buttons there with a lane centering system, so a highway drive assist, which is going to keep us balanced in our lanes, which is amazing. Not at fully self-driving yet, but if this is any indication, I'm hoping like Jeep, I don't think I've heard of anything as of yet for Jeep doing fully self-driving. Hopefully though, I'm like fingers crossed coming soon. I do think it will eventually happen, but I said overall great styling, great feature set. We've got so many amazing features inside of this vehicle. But the steering wheel for the vehicle, it might be power or it might be manual, just depending on the version of the vehicle you're in. And one of the amazing things is that with the setup that we've got here, we've got steering wheel memory, we've also got driver's seat and then side view mirror memory. So we've got a few different profile settings that we can set up there, which is amazing. So you've got multiple people driving the vehicle. We can have it remember our different settings there. But I love the overall feel of it. We've got that nice kind of stitching all throughout the steering wheel. It looks really sharp. One thing I love about Jeep styling for the steering wheel, we've got buttons in behind the wheel. So buttons on the left-hand side let us change between different songs, radio stations, and things like that. On the right-hand side, that's going to be our volume rocker. So we can easily adjust our volume there as well. And it's just not obtrusive right in behind the wheel. I like that base styling. It's so nice. And honestly, like you're going to find that in the Jeep world, the Dodge world, Chrysler, like it's all throughout their lineup. And I think it's a brilliant design choice on their part. It's amazing. Now, we are going to be push button start in the vehicle. We've got our base mode, we've got our accessory mode, we've got our on mode. So nice. I love the look of this. This is so cool. Such an amazing look. But like I said, upgraded for the 2022 model year in the Grand Cherokee. I think they did a phenomenal job inside of this. This screen looks amazing. We've got the option for our maps to show up directly inside of the cluster screen as well. And then over to the side here, I get you. Over to the side in the media screen, so many different options that are available. But along the top of the screen, we do also have our lane management system. So that's the one that's potentially going to keep gently nudge us back into our lane. We've got our traction control, our four-way blinkers, our park sensing system. So we've got the option of turning that beeping on or off if we want to. We've also got our park assist system. So the vehicle can help us out with parallel and perpendicular parking. We've got our passenger screen as well, which we can easily toggle on or off, but that passenger screen is so cool all at the same time. All right, now this is the available home screen for the passenger side of the vehicle, which is amazing. Like we've got the flexibility to adjust the brightness there, but jumping home, we can adjust the entertainment from this screen as well on the passenger side, which is amazing. And that's cool because so obviously driver's side, we've got that main screen for the media screen. And then off to this side, we've got this passenger side screen instead. So we do have some flexibility there. We've got our Bluetooth, we've got AM, FM. We can also control a few other things there. So we can adjust what radio we're listening to on the inside of the screen. Button press along the very top right-hand side in order to lock that out. We can press this if we want to clear notifications. And we've got some different options for controls. So we could turn the screen off if we want to. Button press to turn it on. We can power the screen off. Same idea, we can turn it on, but once we hit that power off button, and then once we turn it off, we just go back to this main screen. And then if you're on any of the other ones, we just go back to vehicle, passenger screen on to turn that bad boy back on again. And we do have the flexibility of watching video on this thing as well. So we've got two individual things that we can listen to. So we've got both of our USB, which is amazing. So if you had USB hooked up to this thing with video on it, you'd be able to watch it directly through this little mini screen, which is neat. And same idea, if we had an HDMI cable hooked up as well, we'd have the flexibility of listening. So the HDMI cable, we're just gonna plug that into this little HDMI port right down there. So it is kind of nice that we've got that as an available option there. But I love this screen. Like it's so neat, so many options. You can control navigation. And that's one of the really cool things. Because let's say if you had a passenger who's supposed to be navigating, like, yeah, could you just get them to look at the screen? Absolutely. But they can also just look here. They can search this way as well if they want to go through different routes. So directly through this middle screen, we can navigate here, which is kind of neat. So we hit OK there, and we can easily adjust. Very similar to what we saw on the driver's side of things as well. So it is so neat that we've got that available there as an option. We've got our notifications again there. We go back into our controls. We can manage these things. So wireless headphones, we can mute out. Jumping back home, swipe across back again. We've got our connected devices, or we can view the vehicle camera apps that are available as well. So we button press, and then through this screen, we can see everything. So if you want to, you've got a passenger that's kind of navigating you through as you're going off-road, and you can have the passenger do things as well. So if you want them to check on the front or the rear of the camera or forward-facing camera, so many options. You want your passenger to clean that front camera, you've got that option. We've got our full 360 camera that the passenger can again control here. So really nice because we can kind of work in tandem together in order to figure out exactly what's going on all around us. So again, this is a really cool system, and I love that Jeep has brought it inside of this vehicle. So simple, but so useful all at the same time. Like media screen. We've got our cluster screen there. Everything's digital. I think it's absolutely amazing what Jeep has accomplished with this thing. The media screen inside of this, you've got a few different options. And one of the amazing things inside of the regular Grand Cherokee is that it's now upgraded to Jeep's Uconnect 5 system. And what that means is that the Uconnect 5 system features wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in a very different look and feel. I love it. I love what Jeep has done with the design of this thing. It's so nice. Like the Uconnect 4, don't get me wrong, is good. The Uconnect 5 just like brings the capability to the next level, and it is amazing. But so many different things that are available inside of the screen. Like I mentioned, if you want to walk through and how all of these different things work, check down in the description below for that walkthrough instead. But we've got our base home, media. We've got some options for comfort with some great looking visuals as well. We do have factory navigation. And one of the cool things is that we could still use Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze if we want to, directly through this middle screen. So as long as you're hooked up to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. But so many amazing features that are available inside of this thing. We've got our 360 camera, our forward-facing camera as well. We've got our rear camera, which is amazing. And then we can kind of do like a rear camera down. So there's so many different options that are available inside of this thing. I absolutely love it. We've got off-road pages, so we can look at pitch and roll and things like that if you're taking this bad boy off-road. And as we start to move down from there, so quite a few different things that are available. And starting off, series of different options for different buttons, like so many different things. So we could easily adjust our volume there. We can also mute it by button pressing. We can also turn the whole screen off by pushing this button again there. We've got heated and ventilated front seats as an option, just depending on the version of the vehicle we're in. So heated, ventilated, etc., driver, passenger side. Heated steering wheel. We can tune this way if we want to, so very simply. We do also have the option of tuning a few different ways through that middle screen. We can turn the whole screen off if we want to. And then we do have dual zone climate control, so we can easily adjust our settings there. Same idea for the fan control. Moving down a bit more, we've got our max windshield defroster, rear window defroster. Do we want to go into our windshield face feet, any sort of combination of the above? That gives us a nice little graphic in the screen. Auto mode, air conditioning, and then our air circulation. And as we start to move down a little bit from there, so we've got this little compartment there, button press, and here we go. So we've got a bunch of USB ports, so 2 USB, 2 USB-C, HDMI port, which means that the passenger has the flexibility of watching TV on the go if they want to. We've got our auxiliary cable there as well. So if you've got that 3.5mm jack, you can easily set that bad boy up. There also is a built-in 12-volt power point there, so we can easily plug in and power up a ton of things. And then we also have the option for a wireless charge pad. So depending on whether or not your phone supports wireless charging, that is available there as an option. There's a little blue light that comes on. You might just be able to make it out from your vantage point there, but that's going to let us know that we've got a phone actively charging. So this thing is the Samsung S9 Plus. It fits in there no problem. The iPhone, so this is the 7 Plus, which is essentially the same size as the 13 Pro Max. Tons of space inside of that thing. So lots of space all the way around. So if you've got a larger phone, it's going to be able to fit in there no problem for wireless charging if your phone supports it. As we move down from there, as part of the QuadraTrack 2 system, we've got selectable drive modes. And the drive modes, as we kind of move through, give a nice visual inside of that center screen as well, the cluster screen, and it looks really nice. So nice base highlights there. Each mode will do something different. So when you're in the base mode versus when you're in the sport mode is going to hold on to the RPMs a little bit longer, so it gives you a more aggressive performance, versus when we're in something like the snow mode, it's going to play with your traction and stability control. And then we've got the option for that rock mode. So that's going to change out the modes that we're in, and we do have our base auto mode, which means that the vehicle can automatically determine which mode we should be in as we go. But there are so many different options that are available. We also have the flexibility of raising or lowering the height for the vehicle, so we can easily adjust that out as necessary. We also have our auto hold setting, which is going to hold the vehicle in place if we come to a complete stop, 4-wheel drive low mode, and then we've also got our hill descent control. So what that's going to do is hold us at a set speed, so we only have to worry about using the steering wheel as we go. And moving down from there, oh, you can't actually see that from your vantage point. So, let me make it so you can. Haha. And on the road again. All right, so, and down from there, we also do have some cup holders. So you can see there, 2 individual cup holders, and pretty nice space inside of it. And then just click that in order to lock it down again. And we also have multi-tiered storage. So we've got 2 different storage levels. We've got our base storage, nice kind of velvet feel there, lifting up. And we've also got a nice little storage area there. I'm about yay deep in there. It's kind of nice. But as we move up from there, so like I said, overall fantastic look. We've got a nice leather dash with this great looking stitching all throughout. And then as we get up, as I mentioned, this thing does have the option for a head-up display, which this specific one has. Up from there, we do have our, I did actually hear something about this mirror. I've got to turn this thing back on for a second. We do have a few different things here, but watch this. So this is our rear view mirror. We drop this down and all of a sudden, we've got a camera there. So freaking cool that we've got this available as an option there. So we can see exactly what's going on behind us, and it's digital, which is amazing. Now we can push this button as well in order to be able to increase or decrease the brightness of that screen as well. We can push again in order to be able to adjust the height. So I don't see that, I think I've maybe seen this in one other car before, but it is amazing that we've got this thing available as an option. So we can easily adjust up, down as necessary there. We can just click that in order to be able to default back to our regular side view mirror, rear view mirror, I should say, there instead. But it is amazing that we've got this available as an option. Now moving up overhead from that, we do also have our sunglasses holder. We've got a series of different options for, oh, there we go. There she goes. For our sunroof. So we can open, close, single button press. We can pause it part way. We've got the flexibility to vent this thing out if we want to. We can just do a basic tilt as well. This is a very functional roof. I love it. We've got the option of opening or closing our shade as well, very simply. So single button press is going to open and close as we would like to. A bunch of other options from there. We've got our assist mode, our SOS mode. We've got the option of turning our lights on, off. We've got our tailgates we can lift up and down. And then we also do have our base controls for our lighting. Now over to the side, so we do have our garage door opener built in. We've got our little business card holder. I've got to say this, so this is the optional suede headliner. It is really neat. It feels amazing, but like that material follows through even to the visors for the driver passenger side. It's kind of nice the way it feels. But for the visor, vanity mirror with built-in lights, which is amazing. And then extending this thing out, it's pretty much going to block all the sun that might potentially be hitting your eyes. But like I said, overall features and styling inside of this thing is amazing. The seat itself is even better because we've got so many different options for adjusting the seat. So the options for adjusting the seat are going to depend on the version of the vehicle you're in. And this one, so good. So we've got the option of moving the seat forwards, backwards, up and down very simply. We can move the leg cushion. So if we want to move the full leg cushion up and down as well, we've got the flexibility to do it. So if you need to adjust your legs out, you could. Forwards, backwards for the backrest. We've also got, is it a 4-way lumbar? Yeah, we've got a, oh, is it? It is. It's a 4-way lumbar support on top of that, which is amazing. So many cool different options available. The headrest inside of this thing is going to be a 4-way. Yeah, 4-way. So might just be able to hear that, but we've got our clicking forwards. We can have this thing lock into place there if we want to. Fully pull in order to be able to release, and then we can go up and down with it. But this is really nice. This is really nice. I love what Jeep has done with this thing. And if memory serves, yes, this thing also has the option for massage chair seats, which are amazing. So waterfall. I got to try the waterfall. Okay, so we can turn it on. Waterfall, what's that gonna do? Oh, that is nice. Oh, that is nice. Rock climbing. Okay, I just have to. Rock mode while we're rock climbing. Oh, that is really cool. This is like a built-in masseuse. This is so good. And it's for the driver and for the passenger side, which is amazing. So driver's passenger side, we've got the options for massage chair seats inside of this thing. But like I said, I am in awe with what Jeep's done with this vehicle. It is phenomenal, feature-packed, fully loaded, amazing job in the front end, in the first row, I should say. But Jeep, amazing. I love the new look. I love the new layout. I got to see what's going on in that second row, though. Whew. Well, the second row of this thing is nice. It is really nice. Now, a few things. I've got the driver's seat set up for somebody who's 6 feet tall, and I still have a good amount of foot space, great amount of knee space, and then up overhead with me fully upright. It's a little tight, but I still do have about an inch and a half roughly of head space there. So, I mean, if you're a little bit taller, you'll probably be able to get back here no problem. But one of the cool things is that we also do have a lever. So the one that we would use in order to fold the seat forward, if we need to fold the seat down, we can also pull that and we can extend it in order to be able to recline. These seats are so comfortable. It is like ridiculously comfortable back here, which is amazing. Oh, I love it. I love it. Nice amount of butt cushion there. The bench, it's a 60-40 split, so 60 driver, 40% passenger. And pulling this thing back up. I still love that we can recline this, but a lot of the styling that we saw in the front end carries through to the back end of the vehicle. So we do have our wood grain along the door there, carried through to the front end, and then that stitching that we saw all throughout the door follows through. We've got like this weave texture all throughout. So the types of seats I mentioned earlier might be cloth, might be leather, Napa versus Lagunas, depending on how you have this thing configured. These seats are really nice. Now, a couple things base styling as well. So that same type of matte finish we had along the door, like that matte glossy finish, carries through to the back end here. Speakers, again, all over the place as part of that upgraded sound system. We've got an assist handle, clothing hook, and then bass light control along the top. And then other things to point out, we've also got our bass pockets in behind the first row, so behind our driver passenger seat. Now on top of that, we do also have some built-in cup holders, so just 2 basic cup holders there. And then along the door, we've got some options for bottle storage and things like that. Now I'm saving the best for last inside of this thing because we've got some options for climate control in the second row, but we also have the option for first and second row heated and ventilated front seats. But we've also got the option for heated and ventilated second row seats, which is amazing. Now, the second row seats, it's not going to be heated or ventilated in this middle seat. It's strictly going to be the outboard seat, so a driver passenger side. But it still is nice that we've got that available as an option, and it is amazing. But one of the cool things, we're at least going to have dual zone climate control inside of this. This bad boy, the Summit Reserve, has quad zone climate control. So we can have it set up differently, driver, passenger, in the first and the second row. So if everybody wants different temperature settings, we could do that, which is amazing. We've got a series of different buttons that we can push down here. And again, like I said, we've got heated and ventilated seats, which we can easily control through the back of the armrest for the first row. But so many amazing options back here. Like, I love that we've got second row ventilated. Like, that is a very rare feature to find in cars. And to see it inside of this thing is unbelievable. Now, a few things. We've got our base vent control there. One of the cool things, so yeah, we have vent control there, but along the doors. So it's pretty much right along the pillar of that first row, so separating the first and second row door. We also do have a little vent control there. So vent control literally all over the place, which is amazing. Now below that, so below the vent control in the armrest, we do also have a 150 watt power point, so our traditional wall outlet. And then there's a boatload of USB power. So we've got 4 USB power points back here. 2 USB and 2 USB-C, which is incredible. But like I said, overall, feature-wise, comfort-wise, styling-wise, this is really nice. I think Jeep did an incredible job in the redesign of this thing. Like the first row, like that is amazing in and of itself, but to have an equally comfortable second row, like, so I'm 6 feet tall, you could probably have 3 of me in the second row. Like for me to be in this seat, Same idea. It'd be a little bit tight with me in the middle seat here, but depending on how you had these things configured, or how you had the seats, I should say, set up, you'd probably be able to comfortably fit 3 full-size adults in the second row, no problem. And like I said, with me being 6 feet tall in this middle seat, I could kind of lean forward a little bit, which would give me even more headspace because of the panoramic sunroof that this one has. But I said overall features, styling, comfort-wise, this is amazing. One other thing I didn't point out, we do also have the option for sunshades. So second row manual sunshades on both the driver and the passenger side. So if we need to block some sun out, we can easily do it. I love it. I love when cars have that, like, especially if you're gonna have kids or people that are a little sensitive to light, you could have them just kind of blocking the sun off. You got a kid that likes to kind of like huddle in darkness, you could definitely do that for them in the second row. Filling up fuel in the Grand Cherokee is really straightforward. So just along our driver's side door, capless system. Oh, cool. We've got like a little Easter egg here. So there's like a little Jeep, like an old school style Jeep right next to that. Oh, that's kind of neat. Cool. So we've got a little Jeep Easter egg there. It's kind of nice, but capless system. So just insert, fill up, and you're good to go. When we look at fuel quality, doesn't really matter if you're in the 3.6, the 5.7, or the 2 liter. Minimum manufacturer's recommendation is just your regular 87 gas. So regular fuel is all you need to put inside of this vehicle. But a little bit of a caveat to that. If you're towing, you're taking it for more aggressive off-roading, probably a good idea to use a higher premium fuel instead. And that's true if you want to unlock the better performance out of this thing. Like you would use an 89 versus a 91, and you will absolutely notice a difference versus just the base 87. Now, having said that, I know that gas prices, they're kind of like ridiculous, like a little ridiculous right now. So if you're concerned about gas prices, don't worry about it. Regular fuel is okay. You can use that in this vehicle. And that's the minimum manufacturer's recommendation inside of this thing. Now, taking a peek at the back end of this thing, we've got a little mounted camera along the very top. We've also got our rear windshield wiper. We've got our nice LED tail lamps there, Jeep badge along the back. And that metallic highlight we had in the front and the side of the vehicle carries through to the rear bumper. We've also got our metallic dual tip exhaust on top of that. And then we also have our reverse sensing system. So we've got the reverse sensors, forward sensors. So this thing also does have park assist, which I'll demonstrate. But if you want to know just how park assist works, check down below for that walk around instead. But the overall look and styling of the back end of this thing is absolutely amazing. And when we look at the liftgate of this, we've got a few different options that are available because we might have a manual, there might be power, or you might have a foot-activated power liftgate. But I'll get to that one in just a second. It's just a swipe underneath in order to be able to activate it. But you can see here, we do have a little bit of a cutout along the back end. The Jeep is a fairly capable vehicle when it comes down to towing. So if we look at that new 4xe, 6,000 pound towing capacity, inside of the 5.7 liter Hemi, we're gonna max out at 7,200 pounds, but that's gonna depend on how you have it configured. Because if you just throw an aftermarket hitch in there instead of going through the tow package from the factory, complete night and day performance difference because we're gonna have upgraded engine cooling and things like that when we get the full trailer tow package. But base features inside of this are great. If you're just pulling a small trailer, I should say, you could get away with something aftermarket, but if you are considering towing and really maxing out what this thing can accomplish, get the trailer tow package directly from the factory. Next up, taking a peek at the key fob for the vehicle. So, typical Jeep styling, we've got our Jeep logo along the back of the fob. Front side, we've got our unlock and our lock button, remote start, trunk release, horn or panic alarm, and then this thing also does have an emergency access key. So right along the side, we're just going to give that a pull, and there we go. So if we ever need to get in the vehicle, if the fob has ever died, that's where we're going to make it happen. Now we could remote start directly through the fob. All we have to do is press this button twice in order to turn on remote start. And then if your vehicle has the power tailgate, we can also press this button twice in order to have that tailgate go. But I mentioned it a second ago, one of the best parts about the Jeep is that we also do have a foot-activated power liftgate. So you've got a handful of groceries, kids in your arms, whatever the case may be. As long as you've got your fob on you, all you're gonna do, swipe your foot, step back. That's super convenient, but let's have a peek at the cargo dimensions. All right, now cargo dimensions for the vehicle are going to be showing up. Now, I did mention that this one is the regular Grand Cherokee. We do have the option for the Grand Cherokee L, which is going to give us a little bit more space back here, but it also gives us third row seating. So which way you go is going to be dependent on what you need. Do you only need 5 passengers? Do you need maybe 6 or 7? because we do have the option to get that L, so the extended length inside of this thing. But without the L, so with just the regular, I guess, Grand Cherokee, we have a ton of space back here, which is amazing. And it's a 60-40 split for the bench, so 60 driver, 40 passenger. So we can easily fold down the seats. On the inside there. So all we do is we just pull, and as you can see there, seat down. One thing I would like to see, power reclining seats would be amazing, but we're not there just yet. But at the same time, it still is really easy to be able to fold those things down. And you could probably make it out just behind the seats. We do also have our tether system. So front-facing, rear-facing child seats inside of this thing, not gonna have an issue whatsoever. Towards the left side of the cargo area, we've got a few things to look at. So on the very outside there, or the inside I should say, we do have a 12-volt power point, so we can plug some things back here if we need to. And then we've also got this little button. So this one is our hold to set, and we can also press this if we want to close the trunk area as well. So if we want to close the lift gate from the back. We can also do a button press on the fob. There's a button on the inside as well in order to be able to open and close. But one of the cool things is that we also have the flexibility of being able to adjust the height of the lift gate. So we can pull this thing up and down as necessary. But where that comes in handy is, let's say if your garage is a little bit lower, so it's not going to be able to support having your lift gate up all the way, we can pull it down to whatever setting we need, so whatever height we need. And then all we do is just press and hold. A few seconds there, you're going to hear a little chime, and it's going to lock in that new height, which means whenever we have the liftgate lift up, it's not going to lift up past that point, which is amazing. Now, a few other things to point out. So we do have just our regular carpeted back end here, and this tray fully removable. We do have the option for a thermoplastic rubber tray directly from the factory. You can do an aftermarket as well if you want to. So if you know you're going to get a little bit messy, it is useful to just throw that thing back here, just throw your boots and things like that on it, take it off to spray it down if you need to. And then as I mentioned, so this tray is fully removable. Underneath, we do have an 18-inch spare tire. Size of the tire is going to depend on the trim level of the vehicle that you're in. And we've got a little storage space, so some, I didn't even notice this. Fully removable storage trays on both the left and the right-hand side on top of that. So we need to store some things, we can easily do it. Along the right-hand side, we also do have our jack. So if we ever need to change a tire ourselves, that's where we're going to make it happen. Along the right-hand side of the cargo area, a few things to point out. We do have our little woofer back there. Now, we've got a few different options for the audio inside of this thing. So because this is the Summit Reserve, it's got the optional 19-speaker Macintosh audio system. Sounds amazing, but we've got speakers everywhere. Like we've even got some speakers on the liftgate, which is incredible. But outside of that, there's nothing else on the right-hand side. Well, with the exception, I guess I should have pointed this out as well. We've got a few cargo hooks there. So we've got 4 total ones along the back. And then there also is an option for a privacy shade, which again, we can either get at time of ordering from the factory or aftermarket through your dealer, but we can easily install it along the side. We just pull if we want to block any cargo that might be underneath, just for privacy concerns and things like that. Now, the Grand Cherokee in general has, well, you've got a few options. You've got the regular Grand Cherokee, or you've got what Jeep introduced last year, and that's the Grand Cherokee L. And the Grand Cherokee L is the extended, so that's going to give us 7 passenger seating, I should say. So it's going to be 5 or 7, but it's amazing. So amazing, just depending on what you need. But I love it. I love the overall feel. Even though I got to turn the massage chair seats back on because they are so nice. I got to try this. I got to try different ones. Like we've got waterfall, lower back, and a few other ones as well. This is really cool. I love all of these safety settings. Like being able to have this system set up and going as we're just driving regular streets, I think is absolutely amazing. What'll it do? Yeah, it shouldn't be able to stop me here. Ah! I pressed it first, that's why. Make sure you're paying attention as well, because if you press any buttons, it's going to essentially disable that system, which is what happened there. But like I said, so nice that this thing has so many amazing options, and even the small highlights. Like I love that wood grain throughout the dash. We've got this nice metallic highlight that follows through the steering wheel, this glossy feel that goes and flows all the way throughout the center stack as well. I freaking love it. Now there's some other great systems that this thing has. Like we do have our park sensing system. We also do have our full 360 camera. And then this thing also does have park assist. So it can help us out with parallel and perpendicular parking. But if you want to walk through on that one, check down below. I've put together a comprehensive video. V8 power, all the power. That's so good, so good. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. I love it. I love the power in this thing. Now I've got somebody cutting over and I think they're gonna make the car slow down, which is exactly what's happening. So I've got it set at 100. Car in front of me is going significantly slower, so we're gonna cut over. They're going 90, so my car slowed down. And then because I moved into a different lane, it's gonna automatically pick me back up to that 100 kilometers an hour again. So it is an extremely smart system that Jeep has built into this thing, and that's part of the adaptive cruise control system. Oh, I love it. This is so cool. Yeah, and like, this isn't like hands-free driving, because you do technically still have to have your hands on the steering wheel, but I mean, this thing is keeping me perfectly balanced in the lane all at the same time. Like I said, car in front of me, so it's going a little bit slower. It's going 96, 97. So it's slowing me down. It's picking me back up again as necessary. But the adaptive cruise system, like, it's such an amazing system, but it's really useful if you're the type of person having a teeny bit of a heavy foot. Because what you could do is you can have it set to, let's say, 120 kilometers an hour on the highway, but if traffic doesn't allow for that, it's going to automatically slow you down and speed you up as necessary. So if you tend to have a heavy foot, the adaptive cruise control system could potentially save you from 1 or 2 tickets. So it's so good. So many different options and so many different things that this thing has available. But this, like I said, is really, really nice. And I do think Jeep did an extremely good job at this vehicle. Or in this vehicle, I should say. But that was just a base look at the interior, a little bit of a test drive and those impressions as well. If you want a fuller walk around on that video, on this vehicle, you want to see how to use the steering wheel cluster, that media screen, check down in the description below, because I've put together some comprehensive videos explaining how all this stuff works. But if you found this video helpful, you thought it was entertaining, give it a thumbs up, share it with your social networks, and think about subscribing to the channel. Until I see you next time, take care. The Grand Cherokee. The Grand Cherokee. It's Cherokee, bud. Let's try that again. From the incredibly capable Wrangler into the There's one car manufacturer that's always been synonymous with amazing... Ooh. Let me try that again. From the incredibly capable Wrangler into the Renegade that was reduced. Oh my God. Getting underneath the hood of the Grand Cherokee is very straightforward. Why? Why you don't want to work?